So this is part 2 of my spoiler-filled Rhythm of War vlog. If you have not read the book, please go and read it first before watching this. If you haven't watched part 1 of my vlog, it will be linked up there and down below, so definitely go and check it first. And so yeah, let's get into the vlog again. And yeah, my highly delirious ending of this vlog. I gotta be honest, I might be finally joining the Jasna fan club. I think I said it in another previous clip that so far I have hiccups. So far, in the earlier books, I wasn't the biggest fan of Jasna. I know that's like borderline sacrilegious to say, as far as I can gather from like the Twitter fandom. But I don't know, there just was something about her that, while I understood her probably better than most of the other characters, I just didn't like her, you know? I didn't like how she treated Shallan, and also I think, not to say I saw something of myself in her is wrong, but like I saw the ideal that I wanted to be when I was a little child in her, and I don't like the person that I was back then anymore when I had that ideal, and so because of that, kind of, I don't like Jasna. Does that make sense? Anyway, but her stabbing, what's his name? Roshar? No, Roshar is the fucking planet. The High Prince. Her stabbing the High Prince was a fucking boss move, so yeah, we might need to stan. You know what? I mean, I don't know if Brandon Sanderson did that on purpose, but like, if he did, kudos to him. Building Dalinar up in the first 2 books as this like very honorable, old grizzled gentleman who might have had a wild youth and a very bloodthirsty youth, but ultimately like no corpses in the closet and so on, bodies in the closet. I don't know how you say it in English. I'm too tired. And then in the 3rd book already, but now in the 4th book even more, revealing how much of an asshole he actually is like kind of genius, gotta be honest. Because I would be like very interested to see how many people who fell in love with Dalinar in the first 2 books now still try to like excuse his positions just because he's a character they love. And I think it's something that we see very often, even like in real life, that we don't hold people accountable just because we love them. Because if we love someone, it's easier to see past their flaws, no matter how glaring their flaws are. And just Dalinar, this whole book, from the way he treats Adolin, to his stance on not like being done and like banishing slavery, to now his thoughts on monarchy and like a true monarch has to have the absolute power and fuck constitutions and so on. Like, he's not a great guy. He's like really not a great guy. And I feel so good for not liking him from the very beginning. I mean, I didn't not like him, but I also never liked him, you know? So yeah, I kind of feel good about myself right now. But anyway, moving on. I am now over halfway through the book, by the way, and I have about 4 hours left until midnight, so I will probably read past midnight because I have over 500 pages left, but I'll still finish this tonight before I go to sleep. So gotta get going, gotta read some more. So it's now 9 o'clock in the evening, so it's been exactly 24 hours since I started this book, and I mean, I got about 2/3 through, I think. So I'm at page 722. But as I said, I won't take it that seriously because after all, I started at 9 yesterday. I finished at 11 o'clock reading. I started reading today at 8 o'clock. So really, I have 9 additional hours. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna read for not 9 more hours, but we're just gonna read until I'm done, and then I'll go to sleep, and maybe I'll share with my final thoughts with you today, maybe tomorrow in the morning. We'll see. But anyway, just wanted to check in right now. There wasn't that much that happened so far since my last check-in. I still like Venley a bit more. I really like Relaine? I don't know. Like the Windrunner singer, listener. He's part of the listeners. Anyway, I like him as well. I really like their conversation. I just love conflict style conversations. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna continue on reading, and I'm so excited for finishing this. But yeah, I heard that part 3 is a bit slower, and I have to say I gotta agree. Although it's not like slower in a negative way, like not in a way where I feel like it's a drag to get through. It's just a little bit slower because you're a bit more, I don't know, intensely following the characters. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, let's move on. Also, can we just for a second appreciate how beautiful the illustrations are in this book, as always? And also something that I was thinking about, like, I know that there's talks, I think, about a Stormlight adaptation, but I wouldn't know how. Because, like, how would you want to adapt the singers and listeners and Fused and Parshendi and everyone? How do you adapt their rhythms? Like, how would that translate to a movie? Because of course, you know, in a book you can easily just write that they were talking to the rhythm of da-da-dum, but how do you adapt it into a movie? That would be something very interesting to me, or a TV show for that matter. But yeah, let's continue on. You know, one thing that kind of annoys me is the wrong word, because it's like really not that big of a deal and I'm not that confused most of the time. But sometimes, especially in The Way of King, I feel The Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archive, I feel like Brandon Sanderson just chumps these new magic elements onto you. First of all, expecting that you have read any of the other Cosmere. I really think the Stormlight Archive is the one series that as a whole you can't read without having read any of the other Cosmere. For example, I remember in Oathbringer, Investiture was very suddenly mentioned without having been mentioned at all first. And if I hadn't read Warbreaker first, where Investiture was like explained, I wouldn't have known what's going on. And the same thing now with like all the different types of light. Like you had Stormlight so far, and then Voidlight obviously from the Everstorm. But now there's Lifelight and there's Tower Light, and it's just like, where do they suddenly come from? And I mean, it's kind of explained that, like, I guess they're the types of light in connection with very specific sprenns or, you know, shards. But it's still always very sudden the way, you know, these things appear in the books without any explanation or anything along those lines. But yeah, also I am almost done with the third part. I have 30 pages left. And then I'm on to the last 2 parts, which is exciting. So I have about 430 pages left. That but saying the first words makes me soft. You know, that's one of the things that I really do enjoy about the Stormlight Archive. Just the focus on not even necessarily mental illness as a whole, but just trauma. Like mental illness as a result of trauma, because that's like one of the things where I feel like most of the mental illnesses that you see in the Stormlight Archive, I mean, you can argue that Kaladin was always a very melancholic person, and he always had those like tendencies. But really the brunt of like the mental illness that the characters in the Stormlight have to deal with all have to do with trauma. And you just have these very different ways that the characters in the Stormlight Archive deal with trauma and confront their trauma. And I mean, I think that's something that most people can relate to. I think, obviously not on this level, but I think everyone has some type of trauma. And I don't know, I just love the way that that's talked about, you know? Kind of. In a way. I don't know if I'm making sense. Because I'm tired. So I kind of got ready for bed already. Like, I took my makeup off and stuff. But the thought I have right now, I'm almost at page 900, by the way. So I have about 300 pages, 350 pages left. But this, like, woman that was mentioned a few times and that appeared a few times in the flashbacks, Axindweth? Since she left the planet, she's probably another person who can jump between the worlds, right? But I feel like I should know probably we have already met her in another one of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere books. But I'm both too tired and too stupid to think who it might be, so I might just Google it once I'm done with the book, who she is. But yeah, maybe we'll find out. I don't know, I have this thing where I literally needed Google or like the Cosmere wiki, I don't remember what it's called, to tell me every single person that reappears between series, from Sahel or Vasha to Hoyt. I had Google tell me Hoyt is a thing because I was too stupid to notice that apparently a dude with the same name reappears again and again. And the only person I recognized was Vavenna? Was that her name? I'm so tired. You know who I mean. So, yeah, I'm just stupid, I guess. But, oh well. We can't all be smart, can't all have the brains for theories. But yeah, I'm excited to see where the big showdown towards this book is gonna lead, or of this book is gonna lead. Grammar is hard today, okay? Speaking in English is hard today for some reason. I feel like in this video I'm gonna have a way stronger German accent than I usually have. I mean, I know I have a German accent, but I feel like it's gonna come out like really, really strongly in this video. Wit doing his utmost to be the best therapist on Roshar is truly heartwarming. I mean, like, every scene with him is amazing. Like, I love him as well, but I also really want Kaladin to finally stop hurting. Like, not even in the type of, yeah, it will get worse and it will get better again, because that still hurts, you know? I just want him to be happy, to be able to be happy. But yeah, that's not how psychology works, sadly. But you know, it should be how stories work, in my mind, at least. But anyway, I have 300 pages left, so yay, I'm doing good. I really can't stand Lirin. The more we get to see of him, the less I like Lirin. Like, you know, I understand that not all people are made to stand up against oppression. And I don't think, unless we're put into a situation where we have to stand up against oppression, that we can truly know if we're gonna be the people to stand up and to fight. But like, the thing Liren does is he just tells everyone to give up and to not fight. And like, sometimes taking the way of the least resistance isn't the right way to go. So yeah, I really don't like him. I really don't like him. It's midnight and I just finished the 4th part of Rhythm of War, so I have about 170 pages left. I think I'll probably read for about 1.5 hours longer and then I'll be done. And like, my thoughts right now are a little bit, what the fuck? Like, I understand Navani's passion for science and experimenting and stuff, but you know, still, why did she share everything? Like, girl, what are you doing? Yeah, so that's a little bit confusing to me. Sorry if I'm really slow already. I'm really tired. But yeah, then also the other thing is that, like, you know, Adeline's trial with the honors brand. I mean, I kind of get that, you know, Maya stepping up and showing that, hey, they didn't kill us, it was our choice, is great for him and everything, because it shows that the Spren were never betrayed by the humans. But it still shows that there's a reason why Spren decided that bonding with humans isn't that good and maybe shouldn't be done. So like, kind of feels like we're back at the beginning, and it's just one of those things that, honestly, that's my biggest criticism of this book so far, that the whole reason, like finding out why the original Knights Radiant like abandoned their oaths, that them finding out the reason that so far in this book it didn't feel like it had any consequences. It was pretty much just ignored in favor of, you know, we need to kill Odium. So yeah, I'll now finish the last part of this book, and then I guess I'll see you again when I'm done. Although I'm sure that in between, since we're now like at the ending, I'm sure that in between there's gonna be some things that I'll wanna talk about. And also, I don't know if I'll stay here or if I'll move to my bed, because I kinda just wanna lie down, gotta be honest. So, I changed my mind. I love Hesina. She's amazing. And yeah. Also, I think I can understand Liren a little bit better, so Kaladin's father. But, you know, just because you lost your son, because you stood up to bullies, doesn't mean that you then have to stop standing up to bullies. It's hard to just judge him now because, you know, his reaction, just like so many reactions in the entire book, is also just a result from trauma that he hasn't gotten over. So, yeah, I guess that's that. And now let's move on. I'm just further and further, just, I don't know, morphing into my ultimate nighttime form. Anyway, I love like some of the subtleties Brandon Sanderson's puts, oh my god, I'm so tired, I can't talk anymore, puts in his books. Like, talking about the representation of the heralds and how they're usually or were usually painted as Alethi, and how long he had to look to find like non-Alethi representations of paintings. And I don't know, that awfully reminds me of some, European art. I just love those little tidbits of things that we know from our world, which it's just nice, okay? I'm at the last 110 pages and I'm nervous because I have seen people cry at the ending of this book, and Moash is back, and I feel like Teft is gonna die, and I even feel like there's a slight chance that Kaladin is gonna die, but I don't even want to say it because that would be more than I can handle. So I'm not gonna talk it into existence, and I'm just gonna laugh at the end of this vlog at my silliness that Brandon Sanderson would kill Kaladin Stoneblast, But yeah, I'm scared. I hate knowing who's gonna die. Like, I hate it so much, honestly. Because I can't even be sad anymore. I'm just... emotionless. No, not emotionless. I guess he's dead now, which means my favorite bridgeman. Is he my favorite bridgeman? Yeah, I really love Teft. I know he wasn't like one of the most like screen-timey characters or page-timey characters, but like he really grew on me from the first book, and now he's dead, and I don't like that at all. What was that just now? I don't like it at all. So I'm gonna read on with dread. This is why I didn't want to read on, because I knew that somehow Kaladin discovering Teft is dead would be even more heartbreaking. And I'm really not looking forward to the confrontation between Moash and Kaladin. So let's get through with it. It is done. The first tears have fallen, and I'm sure they won't be the last before this book is over. But yeah, Kaladin being put back in that vision with Tien really hits hard after everything that came so far. So yeah, we'll see if it gets better or worse. Although, I don't know. I mean, this is supposed to be the start of the hopeful bit, right? So it can only get better. Yeah, I'm really not okay. So, fun fact about me, the things that make me cry aren't the truly sad things, aren't when characters die, when characters grieve, although grief of characters can make me cry. But, those sad but happy moments. So yeah, that is why I'm crying a lot right now. Kaladin swearing the fourth ideal just hits hard. It's really hard. Yeah, and right the next side, the happiness of the singers at the return of the Spren to them also hits hard. So that's that. Just came to say Navana is the best. She's absolutely the best. And that quickly I'm back to crying again. Because there's nothing like family finally making up. But yeah, I might be projecting my wishes too much into that, so maybe that's also why this really gets me. But now I'm sharing too much because I'm tired. Telling Odium to just fuck off for a millennium seems like a bit stupid, because hasn't it basically been 4,000 years since the last desolation anyway? Like, a millennium doesn't really seem enough. You know what I mean? Why does Delanar have such a freaking high opinion of himself? I just sounded drunk, I feel like. But why does he have such a high opinion of himself that he's like, yeah, sure, I'll be my own champion? Also, I really don't like, I feel all other Radiants kind of, formed a partnership with their friends. And it was like a mutual consensual decision on the Spren's part as well as the humans' part to bond, if not more so on the Spren's part than on the humans' part. But Delanar just constantly just forces the Stormfather to do anything he wants. Also, I have about 40 pages left, so right at the end. Lord of Scars. Is it who I think it is? Like, there's only one possible Lord of Scars in the Cosmere, right? Right? I mean, I knew that he'd show up. I don't even want to say it because, I don't want to be wrong. That's why I don't do theories, because I don't want to be wrong. But I knew he'd show up sooner or later in the Stormlight Archive as a villain. I think Brandon Sanderson pretty much confirmed that a few years ago, but I wasn't expecting that just now, So, yeah. Also, I have 20 pages left to read. And I've been reading the past 100 pages really slowly because I'm just savoring it, It's the last 100 pages. It is now 2:15 in the morning, and I am done with Rhythm of War. Just mentally had to go through all the titles in the Stormlight Archive before I found the right one. So I'm obviously already very tired. And yeah, so I would say my challenge of reading this in 24 hours is a success because, well, I didn't technically read it within 24 hours. I didn't spend more than 24 hours reading this. I started yesterday at 9 and read 2 hours, which is 2 hours obviously, and today I started at 8 and now it is 2:15, so that would make 16 and a half? No, not 18 and a half hours, 18 and a quarter hours. But I spent at least 3 of those hours not reading, so I would say I spent a total of 17 hours or something reading this book. And I have hiccups. Yeah, so that was a long one, and I don't know, my final thoughts on this, I'm just gonna prop it up like this. So yeah, but my final thoughts on this are, I'm sure I like it more than Oathbringer. I definitely don't like it more than Way of Kings. And I think I like it I think I like Words of Radiance more than Rhythm of War. I think it's still a 5-star read because honestly, it's just such a huge scope, but just within the Stormlight, if Way of Kings, which is my favorite, is a 5-star read, then I would say this is a 4-star read for me. But yeah, as I said, as I have already mentioned, my final thoughts kind of, my one main criticism really is that it wasn't really talked about in terms of like the big reveal of the end of the last book, the whole colonialism thing. I would have loved to see a bit more discussion about that, but that's also just, again, something that is particularly interesting to me as an anthropology student, and obviously also with my Let's Talk Cultures and Fantasy thing, where just like the depiction of colonialism and colonial dynamics within fantasy worlds is just something that really interests me. So I would have loved to see more of that in here, although I did really love the whole differences between the singers and the listeners and everything, because of course so far we usually have seen them not as part of one group, but as part of one culture, and it just felt more like, you know, part of them are the originals, I guess, or not the originals, and other parts are more along the lines of diaspora cultures, which of course develop a lot of their own separate customs and traditions and so on. But yeah, that's how I saw it so far. And yeah, I have to think on that a little bit, if it's like really 2 or 3 distinct cultures, or if it's more, yeah, as I said, diaspora and origin culture. And then in terms of characters, I mean, I love the characterization of pretty much all the characters in the Stormlight Archive, even the ones I do hate. It's like, I still find Dalinar an interesting character. I just really don't like him and really can't stand him and really don't like reading from his perspective. And I obviously love Adolin and Kaladin, and I also love Shallan. I haven't talked about that much in that many clips. I know a lot of people find Shallan very annoying, but I have found her always very relatable in a way, and her struggles, and so I do really love Shallan. I love that she like took a step towards healing again, and I love that once again, like in fantasy, a lot of times we either have tormented characters who stay tormented, or we have tormented or traumatized characters that like make a step towards getting better, and then they're better. And I love that in the Stormlight Archive series we have these traumatized characters who do constantly go through character development, but at the same time it's like journey before destination. It's never over. And I do love that, and I feel like this angle is not doing me any favors. So yeah, I love Adolin and Kaladin, and they're so precious. I really warmed up to Yasna. I love Navani. I love the way she said her words. Journey before destination, you bastard. Was that it? Life before death? Something like that. I don't know. Love the words. And yeah, I love Wit. I loved that we're finally getting to see like more connections to the rest of the Cosmere with the Lord of Scars as well, if he is who I suspect he is. And I suspect a few other names as well that just maybe I forgot, or like something. I'm too stupid for the Cosmere, okay? Leave me alone. So yeah, but I do enjoy that we're getting more of that. And yeah, that's pretty much my final thoughts. Maybe I'll remember something else before I upload this, and then I'll film another clip. So Future Sarah here, and there were some more things that were floating around my head, so I thought I'd address them very quickly now. I did already edit the footage of my vlog, and wow, was I wrong with Gavilar coming back, but like I still feel like it's gonna be a distinct possibility. Then the second thing that I remembered was that when I cried about Liren and Kaladin kind of making up again, I didn't talk about how like hard-hitting it is for Kaladin's scar to finally vanish, because it kind of, I do like that aspect of like Stormlight, that at least as far as physical stuff goes, that Stormlight can kind of heal everything depending on how you see yourself. And that's why Lopin's arm grew back, because he never saw himself really as one-handed or like as disabled, I would guess. But with Kaladin, the scar was so much of his personality and of how he saw himself still, that like it just never vanished. And of course there's also some criticism that kind of comes hand in hand with that concept, and that is that you kind of have to be a person without disfigurements, without disabilities or anything, to be a person who is considered whole. And as long as you have Stormlight and you like have a disability, that means that you have some type of problem with yourself and how you see yourself. I don't think that it's necessarily intended that way. Like, I still think you can see yourself as disabled and see your disability as part of yourself, but that not being a problem for you. But it's not like specifically talked about in the Stormlight in that way, so yeah, there's like some possibly problematic interpretations of the way Stormlight is used there. And I do hope that maybe in the future we get a character in the Stormlight Archived who would be called disabled and who is a Knights Radiant, but who also like doesn't have a problem with their disability, and the fact that their Stormlight hasn't healed their disability isn't a sign for them seeing something wrong with themselves. Like, I would love for that aspect to be like put in there as well, which I think Brandon Sanderson said in some interviews that that was his intention anyway. Not to have a character like that, but like that, you know, the Stormlight healing you really has something to do with how you see yourself. So that was the second thing I wanted to talk about. The third thing is that I do hope that the listeners reappear in the Stormlight Archive. I feel like they kind of fucked off for now, and I'm not sure if I'm okay with that. And that also is kind of in connection with my problem that the colonialism of the Alethi and the colonialism of the humans and the Recreants and everything wasn't really mentioned in this book, because I feel like the listeners are the group of people that have been hit the hardest by odium. Because of course, first, I mean, the timeline isn't really clear if like the listeners are the origin of the singers, or if the listeners only like were created, appeared kind of as a subsection of the singers after they managed to get rid of the Voidspren. So that's not really clear to me so far. If anyone has any more clear thoughts on that, please tell me in the comments down below. But yeah, in my opinion, the listeners kind of are the people who have been hit the hardest by odium, because of course they were colonized by the humans, kind of, in a way. And so I don't know, it feels kind of wrong for me that it seems like they have been written out of the story with that ending a little bit. So yeah, I hope they reappear again, definitely. And yeah, but I will hold off judgment until at least the first arc of the Stormlight is done. And then also some theories on the future of the Stormlight Archived is, I mean, I kind of like the subversion of tropes a little bit, because I think in most other fantasy, Kaladin would be the one fighting odium, or would be like Honor's champion, I guess. But I have a little bit of a theory that maybe Delana is going to lose against odium, and that odium is gonna get his soul. And then, you know, the second part of the second arc of the Stormlight Archive will be, you know, about that, about having to fight Odium plus Dalinar. And yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see how that turns out, definitely. And also, one last thing, the epilogue with Wit, I find it very interesting because Wit so far, or Hoid so far, has been very much a character outside of the narrative frame. So he stood kind of a little bit outside. By the way, I also love that Hoid now isn't just the therapist for Knights Radiant, but also for their Spren with Pattern. It's like, oh, so good. But yeah, this epilogue I feel like is the first time we've really seen Hoid affected, like directly affected, personally affected by anything that happened within the Cosmere. And so yeah, definitely interesting, and definitely another sign that, you know, the Cosmere is starting to come together. And so yeah, that was all the things I think I still wanted to say. So let's go back to old and tired Sarah for the outro. That was it for this video. That was it for my first vlog. Definitely give me feedback, like constructive feedback, because I might want to start more vlogs next year, but I obviously don't know what I'm doing. And so if you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. Tell me in the comments down below all your thoughts on Rhythm of War, because I need someone to discuss. And yeah, with that said, all the links to my social media are in the description box down below. All the links to my book club of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, where we read one adult high fantasy book written by a woman per month, will also be linked down below. This month we're reading Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. And with that said, good night, and I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!